I'm excited. I hope the mic is picking up my audio fine. I'm once again filming on my phone for the podcast because I just like the vibe of the podcast on my phone better. I like the angle that I have it at. And plus, my camera battery is still dead, so I have to charge it. But that's besides the point. So, hi. Welcome back to my podcast, Wren to Anna. I'm your host, Ananda Cash, and in today's episode, we're going to be kind of do something a little different. I'm going to be there's no real theme to my podcast. I just literally just do whatever I want, hence random chats. So in today's episode, I'm going to be pretending that I am a cast director for a novel if it became a film. And the book that I'm going to be talking about is the book If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. For the video, for the viewers, I'm showing you the book. Clearly you can see the book. But for the audio listeners, I just show them the book, how it looks like. And what sparked this idea is there's been a lot of times, obviously, with novels, a lot of novels, they become films. And I want to have that myself where the novels that I write become films. So when I was reading this book, I saw on I think the YouTuber Ellie Fanning, she was doing a book video, and she recommended reading this book because she liked it a lot. It's very much dark academia, and I always feel like I love the idea, the theme of dark academia. It's the pictures and the aesthetic of it, and the attire that you would wear. It's giving preppy, professional professor. It's giving the vibes that I enjoy. So I like dark academia, but I've never read a dark academia book before. So this was my first dark academia book that I read, and this book, it's only March of this year, but so far out of the few books that I've read this year, this is my favorite book, and I rated it 5 stars. And it's just it also is about Shakespeare. It has Shakespeare in it. Okay, let me get into what the book is about. So I'm gonna read straight from the back because for some reason I cannot give a short definition of anything I've watched or read, and I don't know if that's a comprehension problem or if I just don't know how to just speak in 2 sentences and move on. I don't know, but I can't just make it into 1 and 2 sentences. That's always hard for me for anything I watch or read. So I'm gonna just read from the back. So basically the book is about one day, no, I can't read. On the day Oliver Marks is released from jail, the man who put him there is waiting at the door. Detective Colburn wants to know the truth, and after 10 years, Oliver is finally ready to tell it. A decade ago, Oliver is one of 7 young Shakespearean actors at Delattre Classical Conservatory, a place of keen ambition and fierce competition. In this secluded world of firelight and leather-bound books, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off. Hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenue. I don't know how to say that. Extra. I don't know. But in their 4th and final year, good-natured rivalries turn ugly, and on opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4 years find themselves facing their very own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they are innocent. That's what the book is about. So I'm going to try to summarize it in 1 or 2 sentences. Basically, it's about 7. They're all in... It says years. So they're all in college. There's a bunch of college students going to school for acting. And when they're acting, their roles they play in Shakespeare plays also portrays to how they act in real life. So there's 7 main characters. And when I was reading this book, I was obviously infatuated, in love with the book. Literally, I was when I was playing this, I planned out the video, guys. I outlined the video, kind of. I have it in the book. I outlined this video, so... I don't know why I did that. But yeah, when I was outlining this episode, I was just reading, trying to figure out, because I forgot the names of, all 7 characters, and when I was, just going through the book real quick, I was just, I forgot how much, I didn't forget, but, I remembered how much I love this book, and I was tempted to just read it again, but I have a bunch of other books in my library that I need to finish reading, so I can buy more books to read, so, I'm just, reading this again would just, be not a waste of time, but it's just, I read this in, 2 days, because it was just that good, and I was just... It's such a good book. Anyway, but yeah, so I wanted to read again, but I was like, I know I can't because I have other things to read. So what sparked this idea, that's what I was talking about before I just went to the introduction of the book. What sparked this idea is because, like I said, like a lot of novels become movies, and I've never like read a book that like didn't become a movie yet. Like if I read the novel, it's probably because I watched the movie and I wanted to read the book, or it's just been the book and it just stayed the book and never became anything else. So with this book, I haven't seen a movie of it. I mean, if there is a movie, then just pretend there isn't a movie. But if there isn't a movie, I haven't seen anything or heard anything about there being a movie for this book, and it was made in 2017. Like that's when it was published. So I haven't seen anything. But if no one's thinking about making this into a movie, first of all, y'all should. 1, 2, let me write the movie, because I'm giving y'all the cast. I'm giving y'all the cast for the movie. And I'm gonna try not to give spoilers, but like I might give a spoiler, and if I do, I'm sorry if you haven't read the book and you want to read it. So like I'm gonna try to be like, okay, spoiler warning, cut to like 10 seconds, and then I'll try if I'm spoiling it, but like I'm gonna try not to. But so I haven't seen this book become a movie yet, so I wanted to make a cast for the movie if it became one. So here is my cast for If We Were Villains novel to film. So I have been waiting to make this. I read this book like a month ago, I think. A month or two ago, I finished it, and I've been wanting to make this video ever since. I wanted to make it into a YouTube video, but then I thought it would be too long. So I thought to make it into a podcast, since I already put video versions of it anyway. So yeah, so here is my thought process of the characters. So first, for those of you who don't know, who have never read this book, there's 7 main characters. The main characters are, I'm going to just say there's 4 boys and 3 girls. So the names are Richard, Oliver, James, Alexander, Meredith, Wren, and Philippa. Those are the 7 main characters. So Richard is basically he's physically the biggest one in the friend group because he's the tallest, and he's like the popular kid, but he's also the popular, like aggressive kid that like treats people kind of however he wants in a way. And he's dating Meredith. Meredith is I would say the pretty girl in the friend group. Like she has a nice body and she's aware of it. Other people are aware of it, and she doesn't really talk about it that much because she feels like it might like make her look like she's cocky, but in reality she's just confident in her own body. But she kind of plays it down. But she's dating, her and Richard have been dating for like 2 years. And then we have Oliver. He's like kind of one of like the people that's like, he has talent, but people like kind of look over him, so he looks over himself, and he also doesn't have enough confidence to like reach his full potential of talent with acting. And then the same is not the same with James. James is more of like the like sarcastic, smart, but like subtle guy who has talent, and he can like also reach his full potential. But because Richard is always like the main guy who always gets the main roles, James is like on the sidelines, kind of on the sidelines, but he's like the second best. He's like the supporting actor of like all the plays. Like Richard would be like the main guy, and then James would be like the supporting actor, and he could be more if people would give him the chance, but like because everyone loves Richard more, they just always give him the best roles. So that's who James is. Then Alexander, I think he's just there for like I'm trying to use the bigger word, but I can't use the bigger word because I don't know how to say the bigger word. Comedic value, I think that's the word. Comedic value, I think. He's a comedic value of the friend group. And to me, he was kind of just there. Like, he was the funny one in the group. Occasionally he did, like, when they had parties, he did get a little too drunk at times. And that's all I can, like, really say about him. I'm trying not to give spoilers. I know it's not a spoiler that he's gay. So he's the gay one in the group. That's all I'm gonna say, because I was about to spoil it. So anyway, so that's Alexander. Now I'm gonna go to Wren. Wren is Richard's cousin, so their family. And Wren is kind of like, she's like a sweet girl who like just kind of accepts whatever role she gets in like plays. Like if they give her like a supporting female role, she'll take it. If they just give her an extra role, she'll also take it. Like she just takes whatever role comes her way. But she's like the sweet innocent girl who just like loves someone that doesn't love her. So, or I think she does, I'm not really 100% sure, but that's who Wren is. And then Philippa, honestly, she's my favorite one, because I feel like Oliver he's kind of the main character but also not the main character in a way. But Philippa Philippa was the girl. Philippa is basically the wallflower of the friend group, where like everyone looks over her and like sometimes forgets that she's even there, but she's there and she's watching and she just observes everything and doesn't say anything until she needs to. And like when you read the book, you like Philippa, she was really holding it down. Like she was willing to, like, she kept secrets that she was willing to keep to the grave. Like she was ready to die with these secrets, and she only revealed some of them because other people were ready to like reveal them. And she was holding down. She held it down. That's all I say. She held it down. So those are 7 characters. That's my best way of describing who they are. So now that I've described who they are, now let me talk about who I'm gonna pick for these roles if I was the casting director. So as casting director, I'm gonna go in order from the boys to the girls. So the first person that popped up to me, I would say it was because of, and also I'm gonna make this very clear, the actors that I picked for this book to become a movie is based on media that I've recently watched, but also the actors that I like kind of see the most and have the like recent memory of. So with that being said, I will say that the cast is not 100% like diverse in the sense of it's predominantly white, I will admit. However, I'm not saying that like there are other people that cannot portray these roles. It's just either actors I just don't know that they're an actor, or they're just not actors that I've recently seen in media. But I'm gonna just make disclaimer out now, like just in case some people like, oh, there's no black people, there's no blah blah blah. I'm just gonna say, like, I feel like of course, diversity is an important factor in like casting actors for like movies and TV shows. However, there's a difference between diversity because you're just opening it up for anyone, and like forced diversity. Like you need to have one black, one white, one Asian, one Italian. Like you have to have one of each just to show people that you're diverse. And I don't want to have to prove to people that like I can be diverse. So like, that's why I'm gonna just explain that now. Like, diversity is important, but there's like when it's forced, you can tell, and like it just doesn't vibe right sometimes. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer out now that I am aware that most of the cast is predominantly white. So just if you're gonna still argue with me, argue with the wall, because at this point after the disclaimer, I don't care. I'm making the cast because this is a movie. This is a plain pretend, but. If like someone actually in Hollywood picks this up and is like, okay, let me actually make these people, and y'all saw my video and y'all want to do this, hey, hi, don't forget me. Let me be in the room. Let me be one of the writers or just a script supervisor. Let me be part of the film, like writing it, script supervisor. Let me be part of that film if y'all actually do this. So that's all I'm gonna say. So with that being said, let's get into the people that I picked for this movie. I am so excited, but also like kind of like, okay. So the first one that I picked was Richard. Now, like I said, based on recent media that I was watching, I instantly had to pick. I had to pick Jacob Elordi. I'm sorry if I butchered his last name. He's Australian. I don't know if I said it right, but Jacob Elordi for the character Richard. Now, if you watch Euphoria, you know why I picked him, because the inspiration was based off his character Nate Jacobs, who is also a literal replica of Richard in the book. Like, Richard is also aggressive. He's also a popular kid. He gets away with stuff that he shouldn't get away with. It's an exact replica of Nate Jacobs. So I was like, I don't see anyone else playing this role besides Jacob Elordi, because he literally can fit the role to the T. Like, he's already playing the role as a high school. He might as well play it as a college student performing Shakespeare. Like, he might as well, you know what I mean? I'm getting hot. But yeah, so that's why I picked for Richard, because I was just like, he fits into the role really well. And if you, like I said, if you read the book, you would understand that like Nate Jacobs' character is the exact replica of Richard in this book. So it just makes sense for Jacob Elordi to play that role. So that's why I picked for Richard. So now, Oliver. The person that I picked for Oliver, I picked Dylan Minette. I'm sorry if I pronounced. I'm so sorry. I feel like a freaking teacher when they're like trying to give attendance for the first time and they're like, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, and they pronounce it like literally the whitest way possible. Anyway, but yeah, Dylan Minette. I got the inspiration from his character that he played in 13 Reasons Why, Clay Jenkins or Jensen. Clay the character that he played in 13 Reasons Why Clay, I got instant inspiration from that because I feel like Oliver and Clay are also exact replicas of each other. They're like subtle people that are like quiet but can vocalize themselves, as we saw in season 4 of 13 Reasons Why, when like Clay kind of like went bonkers a little bit. But yeah, so I feel like him and Oliver are like exact replicas because also in the book we see that like Oliver and Richard, there's like a similarity between the two of them because like people like, there's this one scene in the book where basically Richard's starting to act like a character and then people are like, oh, like you keep acting up, I'm gonna have Oliver play your role, because like they clearly see that like Oliver has the potential to be a main lead, but because he doesn't have enough confidence in himself, people don't have confidence in him, so he's always like extra, but he could be a main, but he's an understudy. He is always an understudy, and I feel like Clay Jenkins fits that role really well, where it's like he has potential to be like a greater than what he already thinks of himself, but because he like doesn't have all the confidence, he just stays in like an extra role. So I feel like Dylan Minnette will play that role really well for Oliver, so that's who I picked for that role. I was also like semi thinking Dylan O'Brien for that role, but then I found him for a different role that I felt would be better, which actually is next role I'm talking about for James, Dylan O'Brien. But here's the thing, I have two people for James's character, because I feel like Dylan O'Brien could be a good James because of his character in Maze Runner, and just also like in all the movies that I've seen Dylan O'Brien in, he is very flexible with what type of characters he can play. He can play the main lead, he can play the supporting actor, he can play the quiet person, he can play a sarcastic person, which I feel like is an exact replica of James. Like James also is able to like play basically any role that he wants, but because also in the book, like the people that like pick the cast for the like different plays, it's the same people. So like when they have favorites, Richard is the favorite one. So like there's this lady named like Gwen or Gwyneth or whatever her name is. She always picks the roles for people. So because she likes Richard 9 times out of 10 always gets the main role. That's all I'm saying. He 9 times out of 10 always gets the main role. There is one time he doesn't, and Homeboy was furious. But anyway, that's the only spoiler I'm gonna give. But yeah, so I feel like Dylan O'Brien would be a perfect role for James. But when I was thinking about it, I was also thinking about someone else that could play James, Timothy Chalamet. Now hear me out. Timothy Chalamet also has a variety of roles that he can play. He can play a sarcastic person, he can play a quiet person, he's played a lot of roles, and I feel like that also fits into James' character. So I feel like James can be played by either Dylan O'Brien or Timothy Chalamet. I feel like the first person that came to mind was Dylan O'Brien, but then I also feel like Timothy Chalamet could also be just as good. Like I feel like they both are spectacular actors and they can play that role really well. So yeah, so that's for okay, wait, no, there's one more that I said for James. Hold on. I did say for James, the last person that I said could play James is Justice Smith. He is in All the Right Places. He plays the character Finch. I feel like he can also play James because of it's a spoiler. That's the thing. It's because of a spoiler. But towards the end of the book, we see a connection that he has, and that connection is kind of why I put Justin Smith as a James, because he's played that type of role before in other films. I can't give it away without spoiling it. So like, if you know, you know. If you know what I'm talking about at the end of the book, if you know, you know. So that's why I also put Justice Smith as he could play James. But I also said he could play James or another character, Alexander, that he could play either James or Alexander, because again, they're both pretty similar in like just one aspect that I already explained. But if you caught on, then you caught on. But if not, you didn't. So, yeah, I feel like Justice Smith can also play Alexander because he can also be there for comedic value. And I feel like I've seen him play a role similar to Alexander in other TV shows and films. So I feel like he can play that role in this movie as well. Or if it's a TV show, whichever one. Another person that I thought could play this role well is Nick Robinson, an inspiration from Love, Simon. And I feel like he can play that like comedic value role really well. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. So the next person now, I think that's all the guys. Now I'm gonna go into the girls. So Meredith. The person I thought for Meredith was, at first I was thinking of two people, but then I really realized it was just one person. And like I said, it's because of recent media that I was watching. So I said Sydney Sweeney, because Meredith's character, like I said earlier, she is known for like, because of people observe her body, because obviously her body, like, she has a nice body, she has a nice figure, but she doesn't like to gloat about it. She keeps it to herself about her confidence of her body, because she doesn't want to be perceived as cocky. And I feel like Sydney Sweeney is inspiration from Euphoria, but also not, because there's a lot of the movies that Sydney Sweeney has played in, she can play the quiet girl that like is able to like vocalize herself, and then when she does, people are like, whoa, people give her so much attention. So I feel like there's this other movie that she was in, The Voyeurs, and her role in Handmaid's Tale, and in the movie Nocturne. Like all those people, like in Handmaid's Tale, she played like an innocent girl who, like, I'm not gonna spoil it, because if you didn't watch Handmaid's, then you wouldn't know. But she played an innocent girl who like was behind the scenes, like breaking the rules for a good reason. And then in Nocturne, she also played like a person that was like obsessed with someone because she wanted to be just as successful as them. So she tried to like follow their tactics. So I didn't watch the movie because it looked a little bit not good. So I didn't watch it. But based on the trailer that I've seen, it looked like she played that role really well. So like she's known for like playing characters of like women that are like very quiet, but like have the potential to like excel if they just like were able to gain more confidence in themselves. So that's why I think she was a good role for this. Like her personality also exactly fits Meredith, and because she does have a good body that people are able to obviously see, so I feel like that does play a factor in playing Meredith's role as well. Okay, next person, Wren. I had two people that I said could play the role, and I said Catherine Lanford. She played Hannah Baker in 13 Reasons Why, and she was also in Knives Out. I feel like she would be a good Wren, because I feel like she is able, like Catherine's able to play characters that are like kind of like innocent and sweet and just kind of go with the flow of things, because she kind of did that. And okay, so remember I was saying about Meredith, how I was like another person could play her. I was thinking Catherine Lanford to play Meredith, because in 13 Reasons Why, Hannah Baker was like, she was innocent, but she was also a girl that like could get attention from guys, like if she really wanted to get the attention from them, or like even if she just liked them, like they would be like, oh, like she's cool, like I can like be down with her. But then I don't know, I was thinking more Sydney Sweeney fit the role more, because like I think her personality, and she has more roles where she played that exact, I'm kind of in a way like typecasting kind of sort of, but like there's like throughout different medias they played similar roles or like the exact same role, and like hopefully they enjoyed playing those roles, you know what I mean? So I am kind of typecasting with this, but like I also think that like it's typecasting but also not, because each character can also like be their own person. So whatever, anyway, so that's what I was thinking for for Meredith, but I do think Sydney Sweeney will play the role better. So that's why I said for her she could be Wren, because she also could play the innocent sweet girl that like, because her being cousins with Richard, she is aware that Richard can be very toxic, and then sometimes she's even like on board to like be like, okay Richard, you gotta chill, like stop. And then because Richard is also like kind of like like possessive of like the people, of the women in his life, so he's like very possessive of Meredith, very possessive of Wren, because that's his cousin. So it's like if anyone tries to mess with Wren, he gets upset, which like you could think is like a big brother kind of thing, but they're the same age. But like for Richard's sake, it's not like oh lovey-dovey, it's like because he's a toxic person. So anyway, but yeah, so I thought Catherine Lanford would play the Wren role really well. Another person that I thought of to play this role would be Ellie Fanning, or Ellie, I think it's Ellie. I'm sorry, Ellie Fanning. She was also in All the Bright Places. She played Violet in that movie. That's the only movie that I've seen her in. Maybe I've seen her in other movies, I'm just not aware of it. But I think she could play a good Wren too, because she also plays, because I feel like Violet and Wren are kind of really similar. They like were both innocent people. But like Violet had more of like a darker past. I think Wren, we didn't really see her have a dark past, so like I don't think she really has one. But I think Ellie Fanning can play Wren's character really well, because she's like the innocent girl that just goes with the flow with things. Like she can play the innocent role really well. So that's why I think she would be a good fit for playing Wren. So, last but definitely not least, because like I said, Philippa, I think she's my favorite character in the whole book. And I said Jenna Ortega, and she played in the recent thing that she was in was The Fallout, but she was also in the show You, but she was like the little sister of a girl. She was a little sister of one of the girls that got murdered in the second season. But she was also in Jane the Virgin. She played like the younger version of Jane. So yeah, but I would say she's Philippa because Philippa, like I said, homegirl held it down. She was keeping all the secrets. She knew everyone's business, but didn't say a single thing. And I feel like she was like a good background character, but like you didn't realize how important she was until she showed you like I have all your secrets, but like I'm not gonna say anything. Like, and she doesn't threaten people to like, oh, I have all your secrets, and I'm like, if you don't do what I want you to do, like she doesn't blacklist anyone. She's just like whenever like there are a lot of times in the book when like people will be like, let's say they're going to the park or something, and then people are talking, and then Philippa will say something, and people are like, I forgot you were here, and she's like, yeah, I know. Like she's a literal wallflower in the group, and like even the friends in the group sometimes be like, "Oh, I forgot you were here," and she's like, "Yeah." So I feel like Jenna Ortega can play that role really well. I kind of loosely based it off of her character in The Fallout because I felt like I don't know, I liked her acting in The Fallout. I liked her character. The Fallout was a good movie. But yeah, I don't know. I just saw her playing that role. And I think because I like her, she's like recently one of my favorite actors. So I feel like having Philippa be played by Jenna Ortega, who's a girl that I really like, I feel like that's why I had her be Philippa. But I also feel like she can play that role really well. Like I feel like she would just be able to do it right. So there's also two more people that I have for Philippa. I did say Maud, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say this so wrong. Maud Apatow. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced it, but she played Lexi in Euphoria. And okay, talk about exact replicas because we all know if you watch the show, Lexi literally made a play about everybody. But like she's also the wallflower of her friend group, so I feel like she's also an exact replica of Philippa in a way. So I feel like she can also play the role really well because she played Lexi's role. Philippa doesn't make a play about anyone. She just plays and plays, but she didn't make one. So, but she could have if she wanted to. She really could have. But she likes acting better. So I feel like Lexi, no. Maud Apatow can play Philippa's role really well because of her acting with Lexi. So, and the last person that I said, it was kind of like a last minute thought, but I feel like she could play the role really well, was Amandla Steinberg. I haven't seen her in films in a hot minute, but I feel like she could play that role really well based on like all the movies that I've seen her in, like The Hate You Give, The Darkest Mind, and there was something else that I watched her in. Oh, Everything. I think those are the only three things I've seen her in. She was also in that movie Dear Evans, Dear Evans something. But I heard the movie was bad. I haven't watched it. It was based on the play. I heard it was bad. But she also was in the movie. I don't know. But I do know that I feel like she can also play that role really well. Like she's also like all the roles I've seen her in, she's played the quiet person that like can vocalize herself when she chooses to. So I feel like she would play Philippa pretty well. So my final casting, I would say to like sum up all the people, the final cast would be for Richard, I would say Jacob Elordi, Oliver, Dylan Minnette. For James, there's three people: Dylan O'Brien, Timothy Chalamet, or Justice Smith. And then for Alexander, Justice Smith or Nick Robbins. For Meredith, Sydney Sweeney. For Wren, Catherine Lanford or Ellie Fanning. And for Philippa, it could be Jenna Ortega, Maud Apatow, or Amandla Steinberg. So those are the people that I would have. So now if I had to like put it in like order of like who would be first and then understudies, I would say obviously the people that had the final roles is Jacob Elordi, Dylan Minnette, and Sydney Sweeney, because I didn't pick anyone else for their role. So Richard, Oliver, and Meredith. I'm not gonna say anything, that would be a spoiler. Those are the three, in my opinion, kind of the three main characters. Like it goes from one three main characters to like another three main characters. So I'm not gonna say because I'll be spoiling the book. But yeah, so Richard, Oliver, and Meredith they have their finalized. But I would say for James, I would pick Dylan O'Brien first. I would pick Dylan O'Brien first, but now I'm thinking about Timothy Chalamet. I don't know. See, this is hard. I can't pick an understudy because I feel like they're both equally good. I don't know. I feel like they're both equally good. Ah, man, that's hard. I don't know. Like I said, because Dylan O'Brien was the first person that came to mind. That's why I would say Dylan O'Brien. But Timothy Chalamet could really play that. I'm going to say Timothy Chalamet. I'm going to say it. I'll say, so for Richard, Jacob Elordi, Oliver, Dylan Minnette. For James, Timothy Chalamet. And then his understudy, like, if he doesn't want to take the role, it could be Dylan O'Brien. That's what I would say. Then for Alexander, I would say Justice. And then if he doesn't want the role, then Nick Robinson. Then for Meredith, Sydney Sweeney. For Wren, I would say Catherine Lanford. And then if she doesn't want the role, Ellie Fanning. And then for Philippa, I would say Jenna Ortega. And then if she doesn't want to take the role, then I would say either Maud Apatow. And then if she doesn't want to take the role, Amanda Steinberg. So that is my final casting. I kind of repeated myself twice in a way, but whatever. So yeah, so that is the casting that I would have for the book If We Were Villains, if it became a film. Now, like I said, if this did become a film, pretend that it didn't. Or it could be a remake, because Hollywood does that all the time, so just make a remake. But this book was recent. It came out in 2017. And the ending, I was really hoping that, maybe there's a chance there's, another book after. I don't think there is, because this book, again, was made in 2017. But actually, maybe they were like, okay, maybe we can have a sequel, because the ending was kind of a cliffhanger, but kind of not. I would like to assume it's a cliffhanger, because if that's just the way how it ends, it ended in a Shakespeare way. Tragic. So, anyway, but yeah. So that's it for this episode. I just wanted to do that for fun. Like I said, this was going to be a YouTube video, but then I was like, I kind of want to make it a podcast, just in case if it was, because I didn't know how long I was going to talk for. So it's a podcast episode, but you can see the video version, so it'll be like as if it's a YouTube video anyway. So yeah, but I thought I would just give my little 2 cents about that. And if you guys like this type of concept, me being a cast, me pretending to be a cast director for novels that should become films, I can definitely do more, because I do know another book that I read is called La Bisona. I read that book last year, but oh my gosh, that book was good. I'm like, I need to see that as a movie. I need to. I don't know who I would make for the cast, but I could think of people and then come up with another video. So Hollywood, if you're gonna make this into a film, first of all, if you haven't thought about it, you should. Someone should pick this up and be like, let's make this into a film. And then if you pick the cast that I selected, give me credit. Give me credit, but also let me work with y'all. Let me be in the cast. No, let me be in the writing room. I could be an assistant writer. I could be a script supervisor. I could be a PA. I could be a production assistant, for all I care. I just want to be part of the film. Let me work with y'all. So yes. So if you want to work with me, my personal Instagram is @onthecash, and you can DM me, or my email will be in the description box below for the YouTube version. If you are listening to the audio version, my email, should I get my email? Y'all just DM me. Y'all just go to my Instagram. I don't know. It's vocalizing my email a bad thing? I don't know. I would just say it. It's just @anonthecash. It's my email is anonthecash20@gmail.com. So yeah, I'll put on the screen my email and my Instagram if you would like to message me about actually making this into a movie. I really think people should make this into a movie, because especially with the cast that I picked, because these is people that have been in recent media, and I feel like you would catch a lot of audiences. You would catch a bunch of young adult audience for this, especially since it's adult academia, and because it's college students. To be honest, this is not I'm not gonna say that this is this is Euphoria. No. This is more clean. This is cleaner than Euphoria, but it's good. But it's also college students. But it's just good. And you may think, because they're based on they do Shakespeare plays, it would be boring. And I as an English major do not like Shakespeare, simply because I don't understand it that much. I will say I do love Hamlet though. I do like Hamlet. I find Hamlet funny. But anyway, but yeah, so I don't really like Shakespeare that much, but I did love this book. Like I said, this is my favorite book that I read this year so far. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and I highly recommend. It is dark academia, and I loved it. I want to read it again, but because I have other books to read, I'm not going to. But if I could, I would. But also, I know the whole book. See, I keep saying it in the movie. This is gonna be a movie, and I'm gonna be in the film room, part of the movie. There, spoke it into existence. Anyway, but yeah, so that's it for today's podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I did have fun making this episode. I might do more. I'm pretty sure I will if I read other books that I would have like, oh, I can make the cast for that. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you did, if you're watching the video version, please smash the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I also post regular YouTube videos on my channel every other week, the opposite weeks that I post my podcast. And if you're listening to the audio version, whether it's on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, or whatever you're listening to, please give it a 5-star rating, because it'll show the algorithm that my podcast is worthy to be listened to. And yeah, and if you're watching the video version of this, leave in the comments down below if you read this book, if you agree with the casting that I gave, or if you have other people that you would be like, oh, maybe you could put this person for the movie, for this role, and say why. Leave your opinions down below if you agree, disagree. And yeah, so if you want to follow the podcast Instagram, it's just Random Chats with Anna. Like I said, my personal Instagram and also my TikTok is @AnotherCash, and my Twitter is joyful_cash. And yeah, so that is it for today's episode, and I'm trying my best to end this podcast, and you will hear from me in 2 weeks and see a YouTube video next week. Bye.